My husband and I got married, and we were so excited and happy, and we were going to college, and my whole vision was that I would graduate, get my bachelor's degree, because I was so determined that I could do that, and I did it. And I didn't want to be pregnant in college because that looked really, really hard.
Yes.
And I'm like, let's avoid that hard. And
Let's take the easy street.
let's take the easy street. And then I was approaching the end of my schooling, and we tried to start our family. And that was always my vision, was motherhood.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, go. Here we go.
1, 2's gonna go.
So easy.
ABC. They follow in subsequent order, and that was not our story. 1, 2 happened, but 3 did not.
Yeah.
And so a little back, my undergraduate is in child development, so I have a pretty firm foundation on how it all is supposed to work.
You studied this.
I studied it.
I guess about it. So you studied it.
I studied it in books, and then I experienced it in person. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I know how to do this. And it wasn't happening. We were not getting pregnant. And we were celebrating our second or third anniversary. I can't remember. It would have been our second. And for those of you who don't know, we are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and one of our sacred places of worship is in our temples. And we went and spent some time praying and seeking some emotional support from heaven to understand what to do next.
Yeah.
And typically with a couple experiencing infertility, they require you to wait a year before you go and meet with medical professionals. Typically, if a couple can get pregnant within the first 3 months. Beyond that, they're like, we might have a little issue. Let's try a little longer. And then by a year, that's their benchmark of like, yes, this is where we're going to get some intervention. We're going to start running analyses, and we're going to figure this out. And while we were in the temple, it had been 9 months actually. And I just like, you know what, something is wrong, and we need to go and we need to talk to some doctors. And we were pretty hesitant to do that.
Yeah.
It was really scary, to be honest.
Right. And you're young, and I love that you went and sought that inspiration. And I do think it's important for people to understand and know that you do have a God that is aware.
Yeah.
And that you can access help and assistance. And you're really, really good at that. And I've watched you do that throughout this process, which I applaud you for, because people will have a tendency, especially when going through hard things, to feel alone and to feel abandoned and to suffer more than is necessary. But I think if you could open your mind, if you're not thinking this way, to this concept and idea that you aren't alone, actually, that you do have a Father in heaven, a loving Father in heaven that will guide and direct you and assist you if you ask and if you seek that kind of inspiration. And tap into that inner knowing that you can, that personal revelation that you can access to help you know. So I'm glad you listened to those feelings because they're important, and they're there for us to tap into so that we don't feel alone, that we can find our way, that we can have assistance and get back to an easy path. I mean, when you're going through trials, it doesn't feel easy at all. No. But I do think that when you tap into these guides and tools, that we can access them, we can have an easier way, even during the hard stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't take away the hard, and it doesn't always make it easier, but it makes it so your lungs can still function while you're still climbing the big old mountain.
Yes. And that's what it is.
But I was vacuuming yesterday. My kids had popcorn, and it obviously got everywhere. That's what children do. And so I was vacuuming, and the vacuum was working, but it was not pushing very well. I'm like, what on earth? Why is this so stinking hard? And then I realized there was a button I was supposed to push. It's a new vacuum, and so I'm still learning how to make it work. And all of a sudden, it was working easier. And I'm like, okay, so I was doing it all by myself.
Yes.
Kind of like your own, like those old push lawnmowers, but adding God into the equation. And well, your spiritual support system and your physical support system, I guess you could say, your sisterhood.
Yes.
That sisterhood. That's like turning that switch.
Yes.
So you don't have to push the ridiculous vacuum that already has a built-in system to support you and make your vacuuming easier. But it's there for you. It's ready. You just have to choose to push the button.
So let's push the button.
Let's
always push the button. Anytime there's a button to push the button.
Make vacuuming life a little easier. Anyways, and we went for a long time without pushing our button. Like we went for that 9 months and we didn't tell our families because we wanted the whole surprise people on Christmas. I remember so vividly. We're like, hey, so I got my IUD taken out in October. And so we're like, okay, we're together with our family in November and December. So let's try and get pregnant so we can do the here's your little Christmas box with an ultrasound. And all cute like that. We wanted that moment.
And it does work for some people.
It totally does.
So you probably had some feelings of, what were you personally feeling when this wasn't working for you about yourself?
Oh man.
Did you go through some dark moments about that? And where did you come out?
Where did I come out
on that?
Oh man.
Or how did you get through that?
A lot of tears. And one thing I will say is that I tried the suffering in silence thing. It's really lonely and it's not worth it.
Not necessary.
And I think we were like 4 months in when we told our parents that we were having a hard time with, or maybe 6 months, and that we needed some extra support and love. And I was so angry. And mind you, I'm married to a very healthy man. Like he's run marathons. He's super always wanting to eat well, and he's just like the superhuman. And I mean, I sure try. But we were two young, really healthy people.
Yes, he's the epitome of health.
And like we didn't drink, we didn't do drugs, we didn't. At that point, I require caffeine now, but I didn't have any caffeine then. And I'm like, well, I've done all the things. And especially with my education in the background, I'm like, I literally have the checklist of how to do this successfully.
And it's a righteous, wonderful desire to start your family.
And everybody's like, procreate, multiply, and replenish the earth, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I literally can't.
Yeah.
And I felt betrayed by my body. I felt betrayed by God. And sex and intimacy was no longer fun.
Right, because it's scheduled and it's on a timeline and it's something you have to do. It's a job.
And it's not supposed to be like that. It's really, really not. And so we were robbed as newlyweds of the fun of that.
Yeah.
And like we got out of our first year together and then it just was hard. And we, my husband and I go back and forth about seeing how it felt like we were trying to climb Mount Everest with only one oxygen tank. And we had to lean into each other so fiercely.
Yeah.
And hear each other out. And I feel like one of the gifts that came from our mountain climbing was that we are really in tune with each other and our emotional and mental and physical needs.
Yeah.
And we learned that and had that welding experience as a couple as newlyweds. And
which not everybody gets that.
Yeah. No. And so I feel like our marriage, it started out really rocky, but you know how when you lay a foundation, construction workers shake the cement to get all the bubbles out. We were being shaken. We were being shaken real hard,
involuntarily, but shaken nonetheless.
But it set our marriage for a foundation of strength that would not have come had it not been for that in our very early age.
Sure.
And so while I felt betrayed by my body and by my husband's body and by everybody else who's cute and having baby bumps and all of those, and by God, I'm like, you promised.
Yeah, I did all these things
and I've checked all your boxes. Why are you not showing up for me?
Yeah.
And so a lot of grief came in that first year. And then it was accompanied by another several months of fertility treatment that brought a new layer of grief. And it was at that point where we started telling our siblings and our friends. And I'm like, I can't do it by myself. Yeah, I can't. It's too sinking hard. And I feel so hurt and sad. And I need more people in my corner to lift me up because I can't breathe.
And I loved seeing you do that from an outside, somebody not in that true inner circle of what you're experiencing. When you did open up and you did tell the family and you did ask for support and prayers and joining you and fasting and all the different things and stages that you went through, it was very unifying as a family and strengthening, and to have the opportunity to be there as part of it was a beautiful thing. And I'm your senior, I'm older, and I was learning from you in those moments. And I remember feeling so grateful to watch that that vulnerability that you showed and that tenderness and being willing to do that. I thought, wow, this is amazing. This is amazing, because we were all strengthened because of it. And then I learned in my life, okay, I need to do that too. I need to model what you're doing and be a little bit more vulnerable and allow family in and help, because I was always just, I could be strong. I think that's the tendency, is we feel like, oh, we're being so strong. It's part of society too. It's that women can't show weakness. Right.
Because our predecessors, the giants that we stand on, had to fight tooth and nail just to vote, let alone like present a vulnerable front without being labeled as an emotional worker. And vulnerability is a strength. Asking for help is a strength and a skill that needs to be honed in.
Yes.
And infertility taught me that.
Yes.
And
people came to your support.
They rallied.